Python territory. On the topic, Lester, not vaguely related to the topic, precisely related to the topic.
Right on the topic. And my first question.
When I hear this, it's not going to feel like biting on foil. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. During his meeting with Tony Blair last week, the president characterized Hezbollah, which murdered 241 American servicemen in Beirut in 1933, as 1983, as a, quote, supposed political party that happens to be armed. In contrast, the president routinely describes al-Qaeda as killers and terrorists. And the question, does the president regard Hezbollah as any less murderous or terroristic than al-Qaeda?
I think we've made our characterization of Hezbollah clear over the years. I don't want to try to get into assigning precise adjectives. I think we've done that.
Can I come back with another
Please.
question? Thank you. Do it now or what?
No, I mean, this one's
I'm trying to obey your instructions.
Let's just go ahead.
Okay.
The Reverend told the president today this will just hurt a minute.
Yeah, the Reverend Ted Baer. The Reverend Ted Baer, as chairman of the Christian Film and Television Commission, says that while Mel Gibson's behavior was shocking, his apology should be taken to heart. And attorney William Donahue of the Catholic League for Religious and Civil Rights said, what Mel Gibson said was indefensible, anti-Semitic, and irresponsible. Fortunately, he's apologized, which is being rejected by some who should know better. In 2003, Roman Polanski, the convicted child rapist, received a standing ovation when he won an Oscar. Nice to know what really offends Hollywood. And my question, does the president forgive Mel Gibson or not?
The president believes in the forgiveness of sins for all who seek forgiveness. All right, let's. Now, what?
Thank you.
It's really my honor. Okay, let me.
One of the things you cite as progress is the G8 statement.
Right.
In that statement, there was no mention of an immediate ceasefire, and since the G8, you have almost everyone calling for an immediate ceasefire.
Well, no.
So how can you cite that as great progress since you've actually gone backwards?
Because we haven't gone backwards. You were assuming that an immediate ceasefire was, we want a ceasefire immediately. No, we want a ceasefire that's sustainable, that is going to provide the basis for security in the long run in Lebanon. The G8 did not call for it. Rome did not call for it. The EU did not call for it. So the voices have been a lot of you guys, a lot of people speaking on the side, but in point of fact, there have been public statements about it. But when you've taken a look at the diplomatic efforts and groups of nations combined, they all recognize that if you declare an immediate ceasefire and you do not have the conditions for real peace, it is simply going to be a hollow declaration. And that has happened enough in this region.
But they recognize that. But they also want a cessation of violence immediately, which the U.S. has not.
No, wrong. Well, let me, because it's very important. What you want, there's a difference between a declaration of an immediate ceasefire and cessation of violence, which we want. It's up to Hezbollah. Hezbollah can stop firing rockets. I believe today is a record setter. The fact is that you've got to get the conditions on the ground where Hezbollah stops providing the provocation. As I've said many times, we would love a ceasefire yesterday. We want an end to violence. We think that what has happened is a tragedy not merely for the people of Lebanon, but the people of Israel. 1 million Israelis right now are living in bomb shelters.
I don't know whether to ask you about a new press room or war in the Middle East.
There will be a new press room. For all of those of you who have been asking questions, there will indeed be a new press room. It will be right here. It is not going to be in a distant part of town. It will be right here in this very spot, and the carpets will be clean. The electric, the connections will be up to date, and it will be a more congenial and helpful work environment for all.
Better answers.
In response to better questions.
Tony, if you put the Israeli operations in Lebanon in the context of what's going on in the region, you see a flare-up again in Iraq. Now we got trying to retake the city of Ramadi. You've got what's happening in Afghanistan, military action there in Helmand and other parts of the country there. and then this Lebanon thing, somebody coming from the outside looking at it would say, look, this is the beginning of World War III.
Well, on the other
Doesn't
hand,
the president feel in that kind of a situation, placing the Israeli operations in that context, that the fire has got to be put out somewhere, sometime,
Okay.
quickly, in order for that?
are you saying Israel's responsible for the Taliban response in Helmand Province? Are you saying that Israel's responsible for what's going on?
This latest flare-up of violence, in the context of what otherwise is going on in the region, seems to be heading towards a more
Okay,
general
let's make it,
conflagration.
no, and I would encourage people not to entertain that kind of thought. What you do have is what Prime Minister Blair yesterday talked about, an arc of violence, an arc of tyranny in the region, where people really do have hostility toward democracy. Helmand Province, what's going on? Within parts of Afghanistan right now, what you see is the transfer from U.S. to NATO troops, and there has been an attempt by the Taliban to test it, and the Taliban has been suffering very heavy losses as a result. Within Iraq, you have the Iraqi government beginning to assume full control already of one province, and they say that they're going to be ready to assume full control of others in the not so distant future. Also, you clearly have an attempt to try to focus operations in Baghdad and in that area, which is one of the reasons why General Casey and Prime Minister Maliki have been working together to retool the effort to win that Battle of Baghdad and regain security. What you do have is flaring up of violence inspired by people who want democracy to fail. That is not the beginning of World War III. You know what it is? It is people who do not want the people of the region to enjoy freedom and democracy and human rights, trying to win their argument with bloodshed and with violence. And we're not going to. Today's the last day in which we're going to be gathered in this iteration of the James S. Brady briefing room. And it's one of the real glories and honors of anybody who's been a press secretary, not only to have the privilege of working for a president, but also with the press. There are many things that bind people together who've been in government service. I've been a speechwriter and now a press secretary, and you find that across party lines you have similar experiences and you provide similar support. One of the things that also draws us together is the cussedness and the persistence of the press corps, without whom my life would be a lot duller, and I think so would the life of American democracy. One of the great things is continuity of government, and also the fact that there's always here somebody trying to keep us honest and trying to get the story out to the American people. It is a real privilege to be here. It's a real privilege to work with you. And now it's a real privilege to introduce some of my predecessors who have worked here, beginning with James S. Brady, for whom this press briefing room is named. Ron Nelson, who served President Ford. Marlin Fitzwater, who's worked for everybody. Dee Dee Myers from the Clinton administration, and also Joe Lockhart from the Clinton administration. This is just one of those moments, and I hate to be kumbaya, but we're going to be kumbaya because I got help and advice from a lot of people before I took this job, and I think we can all agree, whatever frustrations there may be, this is a great job.
Some days.
Some days. That's right. Some memories linger, don't they?